Hello, Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. And boy, would we really like to talk more consistently, but man, has it not been possible the past couple of weeks. Basically, I don't want to get too much into it, but I've had a couple of family crises, mostly health-related scares, and so I haven't had time to edit. Yeah, pull back the curtain. Hi, I'm the editor. But yeah, I haven't had time to edit, so there's just been no episodes.
And then also the fact that this last week was incredibly intense for work for me. And then these last 4 weeks of the busy part of my year are going to be very rough too. We are still planning to record. We should still be able to get an episode out a week, and we do our best to do just that.
Right. And if we can't get an episode out a week, tough. Life happens. And
well,
I mean, it's to say that is there's more to it. Is we love doing this. We love talking to each other about video games, and we love talking to you guys, and we love getting an interaction from you. That said, at least for me, and I'm fairly certain Monster's the same way, family's a big deal. So if family issues come up, they're first priority.
I mean, if I'm able to, and I will try to record an episode just me if it comes down to it, or just you. I mean, we may end up doing something like that in the future if one of us can't make it for.
I already do that. It's an unsuccessful YouTube channel. What are you talking about?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. You can say, like, if I'm going to record anything for the channel, I'm going to throw up a video saying, "Hey, I put up a video on my channel. Go watch it." That's that's going to be it. So, anyhow, before we get into like the heavy nitty gritty news, and I mean, I want to say there's a lot of heavy nitty gritty news. There's some, but there's not that like overwhelming mess. I want to talk about something fun, something we both have had a chance to do, and I want to actually talk about it. Haven't had a chance to play the full game yet, but Monster and I have both had the opportunity to play the Valkyrie Elysium demo on PlayStation.
Yes.
What did you think of the game? You played?
Okay, I'm of two opinions on this. One, taking the game as its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of fun, and I can see what they were going for, and I do plan on playing it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, hey, let's take Norse mythology.
Okay.
And let's make it sort of kind of like Devil May Cry. I can't tell you how often I use that left trigger to just zip to every enemy to just start beating the crap out of them. Right? It's the same thing you do in Devil May Cry. And, getting your attack counter up and higher for your bonuses and everything. It feels a lot like Devil May Cry to me, but it does have RPG elements in it too.
How much of it did you complete at this point?
I did the first mission. I've done the side mission. I have not talked to Odin again yet.
You can't.
Is that basically the end of the demo?
Yeah. Okay. So I've complete. I would say I've completed the demo. So there's 2 side missions.
I've only done 1.
Okay. There's 2. There's the little girl voice in the little castle, and then there's another mysterious voice in the village.
Okay.
As you're approaching the castle.
That's the one I did. The one in the village.
Yeah, there's a little girl one that it's kind of easy to miss, I guess, but the blue ghost girl, and she's like, "Oh, please buy my mother's ring. Oh, please."
Oh, wait, I did that too. Never mind.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I did the chapter. I did both subquests. I collected all the flowers.
I don't know if I've collected all the flowers.
Dude, there's one, especially in the village. I could not figure out how to get it until the end. I was like, oh, I got to grapple to the rooftops and jump over the buildings to get to it. It's like, oh, well, that's actually kind of smart. I like that. But yeah, so I completed the demo, and once you complete the demo, it says, go back to the astral globe to finish your subquests. I did them all. Go back to the astral globe. Oh, okay, I guess I'm just sitting here now. But yeah, the game is fun. The game is actually it's got a cool concept. They don't give you your Einherjar straight away. You have to earn them.
I actually don't have you
don't even get any from the demo.
Well, you get them for the beginning portion.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the tutorial they give you the Einherjar so you understand how they work. But the initial gameplay, you don't have Einherjar right away because they want you to get used to playing the Valkyrie, who they don't name. But if they don't call her Lenneth, I'm gonna be kind of skeptical.
We'll see.
Yeah, I know. And that's the other thing. Like, I saw an article earlier that said like, these are the Valkyrie profile games that can't be played before playing Elysium. You can play all the Valkyrie profile games before you play Elysium because Elysium is a reboot.
And that doesn't mean the old ones are bad. They are still very good.
They're the best.
And so that brings me back to my second.
Okay.
Kind of like I said, I was of two minds on this. Yeah. You know, although this is very fun, I do miss the older style. Like it had a distinct style.
I mean, even when they went with 2 and they went to the 3D model, they still kept the, each character is a face button, and you can chain their attacks together. That was still a thing, and it was still fantastic. They actually did a really good job with that.
Yeah, and it was much more an actual RPG with some platforming in it. Now, the new game does have platforming.
It's a ton of platforming.
And so that's cool. But the fighting is fundamentally different, and that's where the line is drawn. And I get why they did it. I get it. I mean, you're Square Enix, right? You're trying to make games that appeal to mass market.
Right.
And this has more of like a AAA kind of flavor to it. Maybe I'd call it more like a AA game, not a AAA.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't have the super big budget, but it definitely has a bigger budget than you would normally see. Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to, when you're putting that much money into a game, you're going to try to make it appeal to as many people as possible. And, unfortunately, RPGs, the ones that we played growing up, are more niche nowadays versus something like a Devil May Cry, I'd say.
I would say at least in the AAA industry, you're correct there, because I still check out the discovery queue on Steam every once in a while, and I always get like, hey, look, here's some somebody's random RPG game, and it's old school. It's all old school.
Sure, that stuff is great.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like if you look at all the most popular games nowadays, it's like shooters, competitive games, things like that.
Yeah.
Things that have constant action, that's what really sells the most anyway. And for me, not that I don't like those games. I like those games.
Yeah.
But, I wish that, something like this had, the ability to be super big budget as well. But I will take it either way.
Well, as I said, I would also agree. I'm of two minds of this game. One, I think the game is fun. I am looking forward to playing it in earnest and seeing what comes from it. At the same time, if Arngrim is not in this game, I'm going to riot.
Arngrim was awesome.
Arngrim was the dude.
Here's the other thing I wanted to talk about it too.
Yeah.
Something that I found very subtle and actually kind of cool. It was the way they did the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
The colors that they chose. It's a colorful game, but then a little bit muted at the same time.
Yeah, I could say that.
And then they had like more harsher lines on the outside of things. Every now and again, you had to look like it was something that I noticed, and I wasn't really looking for it, but it gives it a semi-cell shaded look for some things.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like that one picture I saw of the Valkyrie. They took like a side profile shot of her, and the way her glove was against her dress, it looked like the glove had a cell shaded outline to it.
Yeah, you could tell that they took the time to still draw basically a line around things as they interact a little bit, and especially into the distance. You'll see, like, as you're running some stuff in the distance, you actually have a line that kind of is in the distance and when you're running, and among other things. And so I thought it was a really unique flavor of graphics.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool. I think it's going to fit this style of game really well. And
Odin kind of unsettles me a little bit.
I thought Odin could be cooler looking.
Yeah, well, okay, especially when they show you, like, here's Odin in the olden times, and he's got the big beard, he's all Viking-esque, and he's got the horns and the antlers and everything. And then you cut to him in the game, and he's like, hello, my name is Odin. I'm in a tuxedo. It's like, you're kind of creepy, dude.
It's metrosexual Odin.
Yeah, very, but not in a great way. Like, it was actually kind of unsettling.
It's the Japanese. They mess with all that stuff anyway, right?
Yeah, I guess. So, all right. So one thing we kind of talked about the last time we got to record was what we were expecting from State of Play and the Nintendo Direct, because they were both coming in the same week. Obviously, those have happened. So I want to share our opinions about what was there. So
just so everybody knows, even though we've the last month has been a little bit more shaky as far as our postings for the podcast, we have been recording every week. So when we got together last week, we made some predictions on what was going to be shown, and
I think like maybe 2 or 3 things we were accurate.
I thought I did pretty well, honestly.
And I thought I did pretty good too, but like not everything. You did predict Pikmin.
Yeah,
you did predict. I did not see that coming.
I went out on a line with Pikmin and I nailed that one. I thought Zelda was kind of a slam dunk, so I'm not really all that surprised.
We both kind of called that one. That was, yeah.
Then I had PSVR 2. I called that one too.
Yep, yeah, you did.
I thought that there was going to be a lot more showing on PSVR 2. Really happy to see more on that. Unfortunate news comes along with that too.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to jump into
I think it's
whichever.
Segways?
We don't have Segways. We can't afford those.
Well, okay. Well,
I would be in much worse shape physically if I had a Segway, because I would not walk ever.
Either way, I think it's very unfortunate that the PSVR 2 will not be able to play PSVR 1 games. I was really looking forward to that. I wanted to play Astrobot really bad.
Yeah.
So now I'm probably going to spend the time looking for a PSVR 1.
I'll say this. In terms of backwards compatibility, I know a lot of people, I'm always been a big fan of it. Backwards compatibility with being able to access all my games from one system is a great thing, I think. But there are people who are like, no, that's, it's not feasible, it's not viable, blah, 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 whatever. I think in the argument of backwards compatibility, this is the one time I think everyone should be on the same page. Because PSVR 1, not, as popular as it was not as popular as it could have been. And those games being able to be played on the PSVR 2 would be significant.
Well, PSVR, by necessity, is more of a niche thing anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's like owning a Sega CD back in the 90s.
Shut your mouth.
Well, I had one, and I loved my Sega CD. But all I'm saying is that the only install base you could sell Sega CDs to was people who owned a Genesis already.
Right.
So how many of those people are you going to turn into Sega CD owners? And of those Sega CD owners, how many of them are going to be interested in your game? So you're talking a subsection of a subsection of something. Yeah. So PSVR and PSVR 2 is very much in the same vein, where there's going to be maybe a few million, hopefully more, that buy a PSVR, and then how many games for the PSVR do you think you can realistically sell to these people?
Yeah, but I would think at the same time, VR is becoming such a hotter topic as we go on. So I would feel like it's a bigger deal right now, at least. So for people to be able to access games that were originally unplayable or unavailable to them because they didn't go for the PSVR 1, it would be nice for them to be able to have that access.
Sure, it's just the cost, the barrier to entry to start doing VR in general. The cheapest way to do it is to go get an Oculus Rift or Meta Rift now, I guess is what it's called. Stupid name. That's the cheapest at $400, but that's its own standalone unit, doesn't have anything. If you put that aside, the cheapest way to get into VR, the cheapest you can get into VR is what I should say, is over $1,000 with a PlayStation and PlayStation 5 if you want to stay current. Because you buy the PlayStation for roughly $400 to $500, depending on which model you get, and the PSVR 2 is projected to be at least $500, maybe more.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say, though? The best cost-effective method to producing any video game whatsoever is to just boot the CEOs out the window. Because what are they doing?
Well, they sometimes not very much.
Exactly.
So I think the PSVR 2 is going to be really cool. It has foveated rendering. Do you know what foveated rendering is?
Render is foveates? I have no idea.
I guess I am more of like the technical guy in this podcast. So
yeah.
Foveated rendering. So when let's just baseline talking about VR in general, you need to throw a lot of frames at the screen at a time, or else people get very sick. You can't,
right, okay.
You can't have a VR headset that outputs at 30 frames a second. You can't do it. People just can't play it.
Oh yeah, I've been on those VR headsets. You get sick.
So the minimum frame rate that you really need for VR is somewhere around 90 FPS. And so
90.
Yeah, 90. So any 90 FPS is a pretty high bar to reach.
Yeah.
And so you need to claw back any sort of performance you can get any way possible. And foveated rendering is one of those techniques. What it does is there's eye trackers in your helmet. And the eye trackers track what you're looking at on the screen. And the system is smart enough to know that what you're looking at, what it is, and it will render that in more detail versus your peripheral vision. So okay. It's very much like what you're doing normally in life anyway.
A second set of eyeballs, yes.
Yeah, except for it's watching what you're doing and then reacting. So if you're looking over to the right, it's going to render stuff in that field of view with more detail than on your left because you're not looking over there. And with the performance it saves by not rendering very much on your left-hand side, it can increase the frames per second that you're doing.
Okay.
So that's one of the technologies in PSVR 2 that's very exciting, actually.
Foveated rendering. Okay, what about Kool-Aid rendering?
Well, you need a bunch of walls for that.
I was going to say, when I go through a wall, how does it render it?
It renders, oh yeah.
Oh, we're stupid. Okay. Oh, okay. But yeah, so I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb that you can't. I mean, unless it's a literal hardware issue that they cannot bring the PSVR 1 games to PSVR 2. I see it being a silly reason to not bring them over.
I've not heard the actual real reason it's not being done right now.
Okay.
Maybe it has something to do with the Move controllers and the camera, among other things. I don't know.
Just imagine when they actually get VR to the point where you're going to play Devil May Cry VR.
Speaking of VR, I watched a video today.
Uh-oh.
Someone, Spider-Man, this 2018 PlayStation game now being on PC, people are making mods for it.
Yep.
Someone made a first-person view mod of that game. It doesn't make sense. It does make sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time, right? Because as you're playing the game, Spider-Man's doing flips. He's doing things to like entertain you while you're web slinging through the city, doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff in first-person view
is terrifying.
Yeah, if they ever put that in the VR headset, I'm all in.
Of course you are. Oh man, I just that's why I made that throw up noise. 'Cause I'm just thinking like, oh, the vertigo, just the.
I'll make sure to aim it right at you.
Oh, that's great because you're gonna be playing when I'm not here. Okay, so moving on from that, we're gonna get on our segues. We're gonna and gotta make something stupid happen. Let's talk about what we actually saw on Nintendo Direct, because there's a couple things on Nintendo Direct I wanted to grab and talk about briefly, but I still want to talk about them.
Okay, let me go first, okay?
All right.
I saw a farming game.
Congratulations.
I saw another farming game.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah, he's done. Just, yeah.
And another.
Just shut up. Okay, anyhow, before I make more bangs on the nest because I can't handle it, the big news, even from Nintendo's website, is there's a new Fire Emblem
and a farming game.
You like Fire Emblem? Shut up.
I do, but there were so many farming games.
Well, yeah, okay, that's just the path of things now. Speaking of paths, Octopath Traveler 2 came out. Oh, check out that Segu. That was a great one.
Segu?
Segu, that's how you spell it.
Wow.
Oh, man. Can you tell it's been a couple weeks?
So, the Fire Emblem game, definitely excited about that one.
I'm very excited for Octopath Traveler 2.
As someone who doesn't play a whole lot of Nintendo made games anymore.
Yeah.
That's like the last bastion of Nintendo that I actually like quite a bit right now.
Except for the other one. So obviously, Pikmin 4 was announced, which you had called, and then the one we both kind of called, as Monster said, the slam dunk, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
Did you look at the picture for Tears of the Kingdom?
I've seen some of it, and
he's got a withered arm. Link has a messed up arm. What happened? This is one of those where I'm like, I'm gonna have to try and find a legitimate copy of Breath of the Wild that's not ridiculously priced at this point because it's been out forever. Which I know it's Nintendo, so it's almost impossible. But
that could be a whole topic on its own.
Yeah, I know. But I want to know what led up to this. You know, because is this the effect of Calamity Ganon on him? Like, what's the deal? I want to know.
Well, traditionally, all the Zelda games are their own thing, right?
Right.
So this is called Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. It may or may not be related to.
It looks It is the one they've been showcasing with the where it's kind of like the horror trailer with Zelda and Link. It's that game, and it is supposed to be connected, from what I understand.
Okay, I'm just saying that, typically that's not the case. Yeah. So,
well, I was gonna say this is the third. Yeah, this is the third technical sequel in the Zelda series. So there was Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, because Zelda 2 is a direct link. It's a direct sequel to Zelda 1. Then there's Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I believe. They're the same. They're the same Link boy.
You might be right.
And then this one. And I can't think of any others. If there are any others, leave them in the comments. Let us know. But I'm pretty sure there's only 3. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Also, kind of side note, for a lot of people who are in the UK, some people are currently dealing with a tragedy of the passing of the Queen. I don't know if you knew this. It's actually related to what we're talking about here. They cannot call it Tears of the Kingdom in the UK.
I don't know if they can't.
There's something about they're not allowed to call it Tears of the Kingdom. It was a brief news story. I didn't gloss it over. I just read it. I was like, huh. Okay. I moved on. But yeah. So anyhow, let's get through the rest of the big things we kind of, things I was kind of really interested in. I knew they were remaking Front Mission 1, but they're making Front Mission 2 as well.
That's going to be really cool.
They're remaking that one. Front Mission 2 was the one that got me into the series.
I played Front Mission 1 first, and I liked it quite a bit. I played Front Mission 2. I love Front Mission 2. I only played the PlayStation ones. Yeah. I didn't play any of them that came out on PlayStation 2.
I played 3.
I don't recall playing 3 myself.
I played 3 briefly, but I did play 3.
I think
2 was just so... Oh.
I think they changed it quite a bit when they went to PlayStation 2.
4 was when they changed everything drastically, yeah.
Either way, I hope it comes on other systems, like
eventually,
Switch, right? I mean, it's coming on Switch, which is fine, but I think that's one of those games I want to see get bigger again, and you need to get that on as many systems as you can.
Yeah.
Although, for strategy games like Front Mission, I actually would rather have it on Switch because
I can take it places.
Strategy games are one of those games that I feel like if I take it someplace, it actually makes sense to be able to stop it whenever I want and then go back in.
Yeah. I agree.
Action games, I feel like I can't do that kind of thing. Although I know a lot of people do, but with traditional strategy games like this, you take your turn is over, and you move along.
Yeah. Okay. A couple others that were just really kind of like, there were some great games overall, but these are kind of the ones that are just grabbing me, and that's why I kind of wanted to bring them up. Bayonetta 3.
That should be really good.
It should be really good. And then the last one that I really kind of wanted to talk on before we moved on, the remastering of Tales of Symphonia.
So that looks really cool. I very much want to see what that is about, because it supposedly is a not collector's edition. It's a more complete version of the original GameCube game. I actually still have my GameCube version. I think Tales of Symphonia is very good overall. I did enjoy my time with it quite a bit.
It was your top Tales game for a long time.
And for until Abyss came out.
Yeah.
And in fact, as far as quick impromptu Monster Punter's list of Tales games in order of how much he likes them.
Go.
Tales of the Abyss. Now, Tales of Arise. I gotta put Arise right there. Tales of Zestiria. Tales of Xillia. Not Xillia 2, but Tales of Xillia was really good. Then Tales of Symphonia, then Tales of Xillia 2.
And not Tales of Berseria anywhere in there.
We haven't played through that one entirely yet.
So you can still put it on the list.
I'm only putting ones that I've actually finished.
Anyhow.
Now, suffice it to say, all the Tales games are a lot of fun, but if I was to rank them, that's my ranking. Okay.
So, spoilers for that episode when we ever get to it. So, anyhow, that was kind of the big takeaways for me for the Nintendo Direct. I know you really didn't see too much on that one.
I saw the farming games.
Yeah, you saw the farming games. So, let's move on to State of Play. First game, I'm just going to go off the list from IGN because it's a really good list, and a lot of stuff to talk about. Tekken 8.
That looked, graphically speaking, really impressive.
But I can't, my brain wants to say that's not gameplay.
It keeps telling me it is.
I know, but it's also, with the slow-mo and everything, it's just this is a cutscene. I don't understand it. So if the slow-mo mechanic is added to the game, oh man, this is going to be a hype game to play.
Here's the thing, and here's the reason why I'm willing to believe it's actual gameplay.
Okay.
If you look at fighting games in general, as far as character graphics and definition, compared to most games, they're always a step above those on their respective platforms anyway.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why when Soul Calibur came out on Sega Dreamcast, it blew everybody's mind.
Soul Calibur.
That game was amazing when it came out. It was I don't want to go off on a tangent too much, but when you got better than Arcade Perfect at home day one on your Sega Dreamcast,
it was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
So yeah, because the graphics on fighting games tend to be a step above, because you're only, in a lot of cases, only rendering 2 characters on screen.
Yeah.
You could put a lot more detail. You know, your budgets for everything are a lot higher. Because you don't have to, you know, if you're playing, like let's say Witcher, right? Your character could be in a town. It could be in the field, but you need to have the same character model with the same polygon budget, because if you go into town, you don't want it to tank, and if you decide to use a higher polygon model out in the field and then a lower one in town, that just looks weird. Unless
you are an RPG. When you go into battle and you look all flashy, and then you go back to the world map and you're this little bitty dude.
You could always Final Fantasy VII it, where you kind of look cool in the fights and then pop by otherwise.
Okay, let's keep going through the list, because we have a lot to talk about and we're running out of time. God of War Ragnarok. Didn't see much, but I don't need to see much. I'm already excited for it.
So that was the slam dunk that, you know, we could call.
I was gonna say that's when I called. Like, I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen. We were talking about PSVR 2. Demio got announced for it, and it looks like a VR version of D&D with miniatures.
Yeah, I think also
there's like a story element to it.
Yeah, there's also like a Hogwarts game that looked interesting.
Yeah.
And then there a magic game, right?
Hogwarts Legacy, yeah.
And a magic game.
Yeah. Like a Dragon Ishin looks awesome.
So for those that don't know, I am been informed that Like a Dragon is the new name for the Yakuza.
Because they don't want to just stick with being the Yakuza. They want to just go all over.
And I actually do want to play the Like a Dragon game, the last one that came out, because it looks a lot of fun.
Just the fact that there's a 40-year-old man in a diaper, and he has like a very, like, one of his superpowers is to throw a tantrum and like hits everybody. It looks so stupid.
It looks like over the top humor, and that's me.
Over the top humor hits home.
When the guy pulls the spiked bat out of the ground, and it's like, you know, it's electrifying and everything. It's like, okay, I mean,
yeah.
It looks like it's my type of humor, and
definitely.
I like a lot of types of humor, but over the top humor is definitely one of my favorites.
But Ishin definitely looks a lot more serious, but that's still cool because it's feudal Japan, and it looks like they're doing something right with that. Synduality, I think I want to say that right, from Bandai Namco. It looks like you are like anime girl with mech, and you go into FPS shooting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, or not first person, but third
person. You know what I thought when I first saw that mech? Sakura Wars.
Yep, me too.
I'm like, at first I saw it, I'm like, is this like a new Sakura Wars?
Is there
game?
Like cherry blossoms? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm like, where's the cherry blossoms? Where it's not pink? Why is it not pink?
Yeah,
you know, like, and then it's like, okay, so I guess it's not. But it's like they're heavily influenced by that art style. You can tell.
Speaking of heavily influenced, the next game, Stellar Blade, was originally called Project Eve. Don't play in front of your parents.
Well, you wouldn't.
I don't know. Just by watching that trailer, like, I don't know.
I think it looks interesting. I would be willing to play a demo. I
definitely want to see more of it to give it a better judgment. But just from that trailer, I was like, I don't know. I just don't know.
How do I put it? It looks like someone is finally making something that's sort of kind of like Bayonetta. That's basically where I'm coming at it from.
Yeah, I can see that. And then the last one, from Neo, the people who made Neo, which I love Neo. Neo's good stuff. Rise of the Ronin. It is an open world samurai game.
So I heard that one is only coming over or being made now and coming over. Or am I getting this mixed up with the Sega one? Either way, the success that Insomniac had with their samurai game, whose name is all of a sudden eluding me.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Ghost of Tsushima. The fact that they came out with it, and it was so popular, it gave these people, it emboldened these people to think, hey, we could put out our game that,
which is cool, and I'm totally all for that. But games journalists need to calm down with it's the Ghost of Tsushima killer. Video games don't need to kill other video games, people. Calm it down. So,
I'm looking for a farming simulator killer.
You know what? Shut up. You got 15 different choices over at Nintendo Direct, all right? Just calm it down. All right. We got some big stories we want to talk about. I know Monster has a list. He's got like an actual list, and I hope we get time to get to them all.
Well, we've gone through a lot of them, but one of the big things is the EU is taking a second look at the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft.
Good.
I feel like it's still going to go through.
Yeah, but I would rather people be taking a look at it. I would rather there be somebody saying, yeah, I don't know.
And of course, Sony's on the forefront trying to make it not happen. I get that they're trying to protect their profit. They're going to tell you that they're trying to protect their gamers, but no, they're a profit-seeking entity. They care about their bottom line. That's what they care about.
Money. Yeah.
So
it's kind of disgusting. That's like, as much as I'm for Sony initially saying, "Hey, you need to look into this harder." Now it's at a point where it's like, "Hey, you know what? You need to stop being the jealous type." And you need to slow down, guy. You're getting kind of creepy.
Jim Ryan is I'm disliking him more and more as each day passes, but it's, if Microsoft does acquire Activision, what Microsoft does with Activision after that is up to Microsoft. And it's not like there isn't precedent where Microsoft hasn't kept a game multi-platform.
Right.
Already. You look at Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft is on everything as it is.
And I'll say this much. I'm appalled with the current behavior that's been unearthed over at Activision Blizzard. The Broverse, as it's being called. Yeah. Which is why I refuse to give them more money, which is really hard because there are some titles over there that I still want to go back and play. But I won't give them the satisfaction of my money. I will not continue to buy Activision Blizzard products if Microsoft does not clean house.
I think, at least lately, Microsoft's track record has been a lot better.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I feel more confident in them doing that. But until they do, there will be no money seen from me, at least, going to Activision Blizzard, because I refuse to put any cash towards that type of behavior.
I don't blame you. I really...
And honestly, if I find out that there's more companies doing this crap, guess what? My money's going to stop going to you too. It's disgusting. It's literally the worst type of behavior for a video game company. Sorry. Not sorry.
That's fine. But the EU is taking another look at the acquisition from a competitive standpoint and a market standpoint. And, it's going to take a lot of convincing. When you talk about acquisitions anyway, you got to get them approved by all these different legal entities and governments.
Countries, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a quick process. This is they're offering $68 billion for Activision, which is a ton of cash, but they're going to spend more than that on convincing regulators that, they should okay it, not to mention all the backside office work that goes into making it actually happen.
I will say this, in a dream world, in a dream world, what I would love to see is Microsoft being given the okay to buy this, to make this merger or this acquisition. And once they do, the heads of Microsoft contact every single person who's been laid off during the Bobby Kotick profit boom, like where the Activision was making so much money, but they kept laying off employees at the same time. I would love Microsoft to be able to go back, in a perfect world, obviously, but to go back and say, hey, would you like your job back? Because some of those people were heartbroken that they lost their jobs at Blizzard and Activision. They were heartbroken. I would love to see that being fixed.
Assuming that those people want to. But
I guess, right, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it would at least be nice for Microsoft to make that olive branch extension.
Sure. And I think Microsoft, under leadership that's there now, under Jim Ryan, not Jim Ryan, jeez.
You have Jim Ryan on the brain, man.
Phil Spencer, I think, is much more apt to do things like that.
Yeah. So
the creator of Psychonauts, when he went out on the stage, he said, and now at least this is just publicly anyway, that they still had all the creative freedoms they had when they were an independent developer under Microsoft, or as they had as an independent developer, and they still have that under Microsoft. Let me clarify that. So
that's good. That's
assuming that's the truth, which I have no reason to believe it isn't at this point.
You know what? That guy actually seems relatively honest. I believe that's Tim Schafer. No, it's Double Fine.
I think that is Double Fine. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Tim Schafer. Yeah, Tim Schafer's actually a pretty honest guy. I think. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but
But yeah, so I think that those kind of initiatives, assuming that's what ultimately happens, will be really good.
Okay. Well, do you have any other stories? Because I still have one more I want to get into, and then we need to wrap up. But
yes, this week, NVIDIA is going to really announce their new graphics cards for PC.
$5,000 a piece.
They're going to be releasing into a market where the video game card market has crashed to a large degree, and I think it's going to go down even more. My suggestion to anybody who's looking for a video card is to check the used market first, even with these new cards coming out, because you may be able to find a really good deal. The mining boom is done. Ethereum has transitioned over to proof of stake instead of proof of work, meaning instead of having a graphics card do a bunch of calculations to make on the blockchain, and then you get rewarded for that in the form of the digital currency. Now you have to have a stake in the digital currency anyway, and when you do, you'll get rewards over time that way. So it's a lot greener, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so people don't need those graphics cards anymore. So I think initially here, people are going to try to find other coins to mine, and they're going to discover that it's not profitable. And what's left to do? I mean, you're a miner. You have however many graphics cards that you have. What are you going to do with those? You're going to sell them to try to recoup your cost. At least a lot of them will. And so those cards are going to go onto the used market. And I implore everybody to check that. And while the new graphics cards that NVIDIA and ultimately AMD this year release will be really good, I'm sure, and they'll be a lot better than the 30 series that's currently out, the dollar value or what you're getting for your money with these used cards is probably going to be far and away a better deal than what you're going to find in a new graphics card for a little while at least.
Okay.
So, though that's exciting. And not only that, but Intel is releasing their graphics cards into the market this fall too. Now, they're coming to the game kind of late, right? They're projected to be only as good as AMD and Nvidia's mid-range cards. Their top card is only as good as the mid-range cards from Team Green and Team Red. And those guys are coming out with new cards. So very quickly, Intel is going, their best card is going to be one of the lower end cards from AMD and Nvidia. And, so it's been very disappointed, often delayed. The drivers are very buggy right now. And all that. Even though that's the case, I really hope that Intel sticks around and there's a third player in the graphics card market, because competition is good in the end. And it's obvious that the barriers to entry for this kind of technology are very high. If Intel is struggling to do it, it's tough. Hopefully it does well enough that Intel will continue to pour development costs and come out with new cards.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the AMD CPUs that have already been announced and should be coming out this year. So a lot of good stuff coming for you PC gamers. Keep your eyes peeled for it.
Did you get all that? There's going to be a test later. I'm talking to you, chat.
The answer is farming game.
Oh, God. You are a farming game. Anyhow, I do have one story I want to touch on. So we got a bit of a longer episode. I guess it kind of makes up for not having an episode last week. This weekend, there was a leak for GTA 6. Now, even if you're not a big fan of the GTA series, I mean, I actually did enjoy 5. I like the story and everything. And the online world was actually kind of cool. But, I don't know if I'll go back into it. Who knows? But here's the thing. Leaks. That's kind of what I want to address. Why do you do it? Why do you leak stuff? Why do you spoil the movies? Why do you spoil the games before they ever come out? What sort of joy do you get from doing this? You're literally making people's lives difficult. Rockstar actually came out and said, hey, we're very disappointed this happened. This should not have happened. But we're going to give you the reveal that we wanted to give you. They had a planned release for, and every developer does, how they're going to release the news of the game to the public. They're going to tell you in their own way, and they want to. It's literally like you showing up 2 hours before a gender reveal birthday party and telling all the guests what the gender is. You know what happens to that person? You get beat with a piñata stick. If there's a piñata, all right? So stop doing this stuff. Just knock it off. You're ruining the experience for everyone. And if this is some weird power play, you need to find a better hobby. And that's really my hot take on leaks.
This is a really good topic to talk about at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because my opinion is diametrically opposed to yours.
Okay.
I think leaks are awesome. And the reason for that is, one, you get to see the game, or whatever the case may be. A lot of the information I've told you about today, the technological stuff, the cards that are coming out, I could give you more details. I've been listening to a lot of leaks on those for a long time. But for people who are excited about something, leaks are a way for them to stay engaged. Like it or not, people are waiting for these things. Now, along with that, there's some evils you have to combat too, I think, where people are looking at this footage of GTA in this case, and they're saying, this looks like garbage.
Actually, I want to jump in on here because there was a tweet that was so perfect for this. Somebody said on Twitter that the GTA leaked footage looked as good as a finished Ubisoft game.
Oh gosh.
So that was funny. But yeah.
But my point is that this is an early alpha build, and it's gonna be buggy. That's what it's like at this point. So anybody who thinks this is anywhere close to finished is, just not understanding what's going on.
Well, right, and that's why I feel like it's bad to leak this kind of stuff, because it's not helping anybody. You're revealing something, and I believe someone said this was going to be unused footage, unused data. They weren't going to use what got showed off, but you're giving people false hope, false information by leaking stuff. Because you are not the developers. You do not know what the final product is. You do not have the vision of what the final product is going to be. So in this scenario, to leak something like this, it's poor form. That's how I see it. It's poor form.
And that's where I disagree with you yet again. Seeing how the sausage is made is sometimes so awesome. And, for a lot of people, this is going to be their first interaction with any sort of alpha gameplay. There's menus, there's things that are shown, and there's going to be those people out there that say, hey, what is that? What does it do? It's a learning opportunity for them. And maybe, just maybe, it makes someone interested in being a game developer.
Maybe.
I think that, Rockstar is a profit-seeking entity. If they want to keep their product, not disclose it to the public at all, they need to do a better job of securing their data.
Well, somebody hacked into the mainframe. That's
exactly. They need to do a better job of securing their data.
Well, I'm just saying, you can't always. There's no 100% guarantee of that kind of thing.
I get where you're coming from. I really do. But I think that there's a lot of good that can come from it.
Possibly, but I don't feel like so in this case.
And letting a company control their narrative all the time, I don't know. It's kind of fun to throw a monkey wrench into things. But
you usually want to throw monkeys into things.
You know what? Yes.
Yeah, you are a weird person.
And I talked about this last week.
Throwing monkeys?
Yes, monkeys, exactly. Throwing monkeys. But, as far as being able to play, games and things like that, there's pre-alpha builds of games that have never come out.
Right.
So like leaks and things like that, you may be able to play some of these games that you may that may ultimately not get released, and you may not be able to play otherwise. I can't think of some of them off the top of my head, but one, except for one, the one that does come off the top of my head is there's a build of Gears of War for the PlayStation 3.
Huh.
And while it doesn't run very well, the proof that they could get it running on PlayStation 3 is there. And you can download and play that if you want. And that would not be available if it wasn't for someone who leaked it.
Okay, but that's also from a game from a system that's been out for a while now. We're talking about a game that is not even finished yet, has not even come out yet. It's, it's just, there's just a tact to this that's not being done. And that's what I'm trying to bring up.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Please let us know why I'm right and this is a bad thing. So,
I see what you're trying to do there. I see what you're trying to do there.
But we do need to get out of here. It's actually been quite a long episode. So, thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate you guys, and we will try to become more committed to releasing week episodes as long as.
Well, we've been recording them every week.
We've been recording them, but it's more about the editing. Here's a quick behind the scenes. Ready? For every hour that's recorded, you're looking about 2 to 3 hours of editing for a proper show. remember that 1 week we missed before? That particular episode took me 5 hours, and I only got 15 minutes of garbage. Like, my audio was so bad I could not use the footage. We had to scrap it. So, just, that's why I say, like, when there's not time to do it, it's because things happen so quickly that sometimes I can't devote hours upon hours to getting these done. But hopefully with the new audio equipment and the new sound panels and everything else, things are going to be a lot easier to do. So hopefully we'll be able to keep up this weekly commitment.
I want to.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, we're still going to show up and talk weekly. It's just hopefully we can record it and get it out within a timely frame or timely manner. So anyhow, thanks again. Hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic day, a fantastic week. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Later.